Dear friends, this is Srinivasan, who is having more than 40 years experiences in this construction industry, trying to give you a small presentation on the commonly asked questions in an interview in a builder organization in India. In my 35 years of experiences, I attended various interviews and at the same time, I conducted various interviews. Based on these collections, we have selected an average of 500 questions which is generally asked in the civil engineering, which I am going to explain you in the presentation. If I posted a 500 question in this presentation, it will take a long time. So I am posting a 50 questions in this presentation, and I will be continuing these presentations depend upon the viewership and etc. Don't think this is the only 500 questions will be asked in the interview. The questions can be asked by the interview depend upon his capability of understanding the project and what he is looking for from the candidate. So these questions has to be treated as only an outlay, and you have to study furthermore to make yourself capable of attending any interviews. These questions is purely meant for freshers, junior engineers, senior engineers, and there is no questions for the project manager and the construction manager, which I will be doing it in a very short period. Let's go through the presentation now. Generally asked questions. What is a wave slab? Wave slab are a reinforced concrete footing and a slab system constructed on a ground. They consist of perimeter footing, that is edge beams, and a series of narrow international beams, strip footings at 1 meter nominal centers running in each way. The whole footings and slab system is constructed on top of the ground. What is a mat foundation? A mat foundation, according to the Dictionary of Construction, is a continuous foundation with a thick slab that supports a whole structure. The foundation is shallow and poured over reinforcing mats. What is a waffle poured concrete slabs? The waffle poured slab system is a better way of building concreting slabs for a new homes, extension, or a commercial industrial buildings. How thick is the slab of a house? Around the edge of the slab, the concrete forms a beam that is perhaps 2 feet deep. The rest of the slab is 4 to 6 inches thick. A 4 to 6 inches layer of gravel lies beneath the slab. A 4 millimeter sheet lies between the foundations and the concreting. What is the difference between a raft and a footing? Raft foundation is a thick concreting slab reinforced with a steel covers that entire contact area of the structure like a thick floor. A mat is necessary when the permissible soil pressure is low or where the columns and walls are so close that a person foundation would partially cover or nearly touch each other. What is a raft foundation? Raft foundation are a large concreting slab which can support a number of columns and walls. The slab is spread out under the entire building or at least a large part of it, which lowers the contact pressure compared to the traditionally used strips or trench footings. What is a slab of a concreting? A concreting slab is a common structural element of a modern building. Horizontal slabs of steel reinforced concreting, typically between 4 to 20 inches thick, are most often used to construct floors and ceiling, while thinner slabs also used for exterior paving. What is meant by a suspended slab? Suspended slabs are above ground level slabs which are not directly in contact with the earth. They are commonly used to create floors for the upper stories of house, but can also be set on top of pre-constructed walls from the ground floor. How thick is the concreting? How thick is the foundation of the house? Poured concreting foundation walls that are less than 8 feet tall and hence soil outside that is 6 or to 7 feet deep against the wall can often be 8 inches thick and functions quite well. As soon as you go higher or have a greater depth of soil pushing against the walls, you need to increase the thickness to 10 inches. What is a flat slab? A flat slab in a two-way reinforced concreting slab that usually does not have beams and girders, and the loads are transformed directly to the supporting concreting columns. For more detailed definition, flat slab floor systems definition and subscription, you can check it out. What is a flat plate slab? The flat plate is a two-way reinforced concreting framing system utilizing a slab of uniform thickness, the simplest of structural shapes. The flat slab is a two-way reinforced structural system that includes either a drop panels or a column capitals at columns to resist heavier loads and thus permit longer spans. What is the footing in civil engineering? The term footing is used in conjunction with the shallow foundations. Commonly, a footing is a foundation unit constructed in a brickwork, masonry or a concrete under the base of a wall or a column for the purpose of distributing the load over a large area. What is a concrete raft slab? A raft slab is reinforced concreting slab that is strengthened with integral concreting beams in both the direction. Usually used as a foundation for new houses. What is a foundation pad? Pad foundation are generally shallow foundation and extensions raft slab in Australia are designed to comply with Australian standard a form of spread foundation formed by a rectangular square or sometimes circular concreting pads that support localized single point loads such as structural columns, group of columns or framed structures. What is a slab foundation? Slab are a grade foundation. As the name suggests, a slab is a single layer of concrete several inches thick. The slab is poured thicker at the edges to form an integral footing. Reinforcing rods are strengthened to thickened edges. The slab normally rests on a bed of crushed gravel to improve the drainage system. What is a frost wall? Frost wall is a type of a wall that adds no structural integrity to the building but acts as an insulator. It is typical to see frost walls placed in basement since most basements are made nothing more than cement and brick, which does not provide much insulation. What is a slab in civil engineering? Concreting slab, a very common and important structural element, are constructed to provide flat, useful surfaces. It is a horizontal structural component with the top and bottom surfaces parallel or near so. The depth of the concreting slab floor is very small compared to its span. How thick is the concreting in the garage floor? The form should have slight slope so that water runs away from the area instead of pooling on your garage floor. The slope should be steeper if you have a sink or a water heater in the garage. Pour on level the concreting. A standard garage floor is typically 4 inches thick, that means 100 mm thick. How deep the foundation is to be? The projection of the footing on either side of the wall is supposed to be no greater than the depth of the footing. The bottom of the footing should be at least 12 inches below the finished grade line, I mean surface of the ground. It may need to be deeper, it must be below the frost line. How deep are footers for a house? As you can see, heavy houses on a weak soil need footings 2 feet wide or more. But the highest building on the strongest soil requires footing as narrow as 7 to 8 inches under an 8-inch thick wall, that is the same as you have no footing. What is the floating concreting in a slab foundation? A concreting floating slab is a slab that is not anchored to the ground but instead merely sits on the top of it. Floating concreting slabs provide solid foundation for structures such as sheds, garages, home additions and even manufacturing homes. What is a suspended floor? Suspended construction. What is meant by one-way slab? One-way slab supported by beams in only two sides. The ratio of the longer span panel is shorter to the span panel is equal or greater than 2. Thus, length divided by breadth greater than 2 or 3. Main reinforcement is provided is only in one direction for a one-way slabs. What is a coffer slab? A coffer is an architecture is a series of sunken panels in the shape of a square, a rectangle or an octagon in a ceiling soffit or a wallet. What is a continuous footing? A strip footing is a type of shallow foundation which is provided for the load bearing wall and for economic purposes. In row of columns which are so closely spaced that the spread footing overlap or nearly touch each other. Stripe footing is also known as a continuous footing. What is a concreting strip footings? A wall footing or a strip footing is a continuous strip of concrete that serves to spread the weight of the load bearing wall across an area of spoil. It is a component of a shallow foundation. What is a stem wall? Basement slab basics. The foundation is a part of the structure that contacts the earth. Recreational homes built in the mountains or in the beach are often constructed on pier foundation. There are 4 popular types of foundation that they are used: basement, crawl spaces, monolithic slabs and stem wall slab. What is meant by a punching shear? Punching shear is a type of a failure of reinforced concreting slab subject to high localized forces. In flat slab structure, this occurs at column support points. What is a hollow core slab? Diagram of a concreting slab is hollow core construction, also known as a void. Hollow core plank or simply concreting plank is a precast slab of a pre-stressed concrete typically used in the construction of floors of a multi-storied apartment buildings. What is a lift slab construction? Lift slab construction is a method of constructed concreting building by casting the floor of a roof slab on top of the previous slab and then raising the slab up with a hydraulic jack. So being cheaper and faster as not require boxing and supporting cast in situ. What is meant by a PT slab? Construction of a post-tension slab on grade is very similar by using reinforcement in steel except for the tensioning steps. Cables are arranged as indicated by the designs and chairs to run through the center of the slab. For residential construction, tendons at 48 inches are common. What are the foundations of a building? A foundation is the element of an architectural structure which connects to the ground and transfer loads from the structure to the ground. Foundations are generally considered either shallow or deep. What is a foundation in engineering? A foundation is the lowest part of the building structure. It is a periphery of a civil and structural geotechnical engineering disciplines and has a distinct focus on soil structure interaction. It is also called as a ground sill which transfer loads to the ground. It is generating broken into 2 categories. What is meant by footing in construction? Footing are an important part of foundation construction. They are typically made of concrete with a rebar reinforcement that has been poured into the excavated trench. The purpose of footing is to support the foundation and prevent setting. What is a spread foundation? Spread footing, square or rectangular shaped blocks of reinforced concreting that typically support a single column or a wall of a building. The allowable bearing pressure on the soil determines the size of the spread footing. What is a waffle slab? Resembling the food after which they named, concreting waffle slabs are reinforced concreting floors and roofs that use a square grid of a deep slice. This form of construction is used in airports, parking garages, commercial and industrial buildings, bridges and residences and other structures requiring extra stability. What is a mat foundation? Mat foundation looks like it sounds. It is a mat of a concreting that sits on or just below the ground. In other words, a shallow foundation. You may have heard it is referred to a slab foundation, a common choice among the builders. What is a waffle raft slab? Waffle raft slab construction is quite different from stiffened raft and footing slab structures. The slab's ribs are formed on top of the ground using a grid of polystyrene void forms. These are laid out on a leveled area. The construction is ideally suited for a relative clay sites. What is the use of a pile foundation? Pile foundation systems relying on a driven piles often have a group of piles connected by a pile cap, a large concreting block into which heads of the piles are embedded to distribute loads which are larger than one pile can bear. What is a slab on grade? Slab on grade floating slab foundation are a structural engineering practice whereby the concreting slab that is to serve the foundation for a structure is formed from a mold set in the ground. The concreting is then placed on the mold, leaving no space between the ground and the structure. What is an open foundation? Open foundation is a territory preparation program What is the difference between raft and a footing? Raft foundation is a thick concreting slab reinforced with a steel which covers the entire contact area of the structure like a thick floor. A mat is necessary when the permissible soil pressure is low or where the columns and walls are so close that person foundation would partly cover the or really touch other. What is the difference between raft and footing? Raft foundation is a thick concreting slab reinforced with steel which covers the entire contact area of the structure like a thick floor. A mat is necessary when the permissible soil pressure is low or when the columns and walls are so close that person foundation would partly cover or nearly touch each other. What is the use of a plinth beam? You can see here the beam is constructed on the ground floor. The void between the foundation and plinth level is filled with a compacted soil. Brick or stone masonry usually constructed below the plinth beam. The plinth beam needs to be strong but need not to be made up of reinforced concreting all the time. How thick is the concreting foundation slab? Around the edge of the slab, the concreting forms beam that is perhaps 2 feet deep. The rest of the slab is 4 to 6 inches thick. A 4 or 6 inches layer of gravel lies underneath the slab. What does a grade mean? In real estate, above grade means the portion of the home that is above the ground. The term is usually used to describe a room or a square footage. For example, 3 bedrooms above grade means 3 bedrooms that are not in a line. What does monolithic slab means? Monolithic slabs are a foundation system constructed as one single concrete pour that consists of a concreting slab with thickened portion of the slabs under load bearing walls and all perimeter edges that takes place on the footers. Thank you for watching this presentation. Kindly subscribe, like and share, which will motivate me for a further good presentation. In case of any queries, do not hesitate to write to me. The response shall be at the earliest. Presentation courtesy. Articles collected from Civil Forum. Contact me civilconclave@gmail.com or at my Telegram group, Ashreni Telegram group. The link has been given as below. Thank you for watching. Once again, I request you to kindly subscribe and share, which will motivate me to give further knowledgeable videos. Thank you once again.